Hello, this is Chris the Game Dev with another devlog. Today I want to talk about the updated arena mode for my new game Absolute Insanity. In this mode you can now face all the nextbot enemies at the same time. It gets pretty chaotic if I say so myself, so pretty much the same as last time. Stuff will spawn depending on the items that you select. And but this time you have a lot of enemies to face and it gets pretty wild. I have to do a lot of programming, but it turned out pretty awesome. It's a lot of fun, and I'm going to talk about technique. If you want to watch the full playthrough, I'll leave a link to the playlist down below, but for the main point is that to beat all the next bots at the same time at maximum speed and at the fastest spawn rate for the minions, it takes a bit of time and effort, even with me that I think I'm pretty good at the game. I played a lot for testing. So why don't we just skip to the winning playthrough. So after dying multiple times, I had a playthrough that I actually won. So the technique that I used to defeat all these damn enemies is that the main thing is you need to rush the spawn point and destroy the minions, which is the constantly spawning unit, right away. There is a little spawn point that they are spawning from. It's in a little gate or like fenced area. So what I'm doing here is I'm just throwing ordnance over. If you get a rocket launcher, this is helpful as well, but just constantly deploying stuff to help defend your position. And also these shields as well help as well, because it messes with the enemy's pathing. So I'll often deploy the shields as well. So now I'm currently going to try to rush and again deploying another thing. So throwing a mine, there's the spawn and a little TNT thing for good measure. Now the spawn point is destroyed. So now those minions, those little ghoulish looking mofos, now will no longer deploy anymore, and it makes the rest of the playthrough easier, but not the easiest. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is constantly trying to move. You need to be moving constantly. Do not stop for any, and having a constant visual on the enemy as well is great. Just knowing where they are somewhat is good, or else they'll come sneak up behind you. So keeping a constant visual and, you know, getting rid of the stragglers, the rest of the minions, is something that you can work on as well. So because the enemies have different behaviors, the potato ones, if you hit them once, they put on a shield and will retreat. So just focus on hitting those and letting them retreat. At some point they get angry and they constantly go after you, so you really have to like watch out at that point. But just doing some cleanup work and throwing ordnance around and exploding. Sometimes the explosions seem like I just fire at the ground for no reason. It's actually there's a purpose for it. If they're close by, I'll hit them and they won't get me. But now, since most of the maze is cleared up, I can now start aiming shots properly, constantly deploying rockets, deploying mines, and allowing a lot of traps to be set for them. Now I think I'm getting to the end. Just keeping your cool. This is the easy part now. This is like the end game, where you're just like focused on one unit, and I just keep messing with them, throwing ordnance, and pretty soon this will come in a victory. There we go. Here is a victory. Now this level is concentrated. It's a lot smaller. Let's look at a win from a different level. Alright, so in order to win this level, you have to rush the enemy spawn similar to the last one, except for there's a big distance here, so any ordnance that you throw, rocket launchers, all comes in handy. Just keep moving fast. That is one technique that's good. Maybe destroying some enemies that are nearby. This is just messing with the pathing. Every time I deploy a shield, it's messing with the pathing. Releasing the rocket turrets are also important as well, because it will destroy them over time. Boom, there we go, the spawn is done. Now it's time to do some cleanup work with the rest of the next bots. Here I'm just now just deploying everything I see, trying to mess with their pathing. Again, see, that was a really good technique, because I deployed a shield, which routed the enemy to a certain opening, and then they got fired by the rocket turret. So these little things will help over time. Of course, I'm not really going for speed or anything. I'm not like speed running this. I'm just trying to win. It's actually quite difficult, but once you destroy and rush the main minion spawn, it gets a lot easier. It's still like absolute chaos, as you can see. But, you know, the shotgun helps there. I just, you know, destroyed Shelly there, and time to make work of the rest of the enemies. It's a common theme where the Shelly enemies will be destroyed, and then what would be left are the potato people. So I think there's one Shelly left, maybe, but there's definitely Potato Man. But deploying everything you see, including mines and rocket turrets, and deploying the shields to mess with pathing helps as well. See, just messing with the pathing. Yep, Shelly's still alive in this playthrough. And one of the things I want to mention as well is that this arena mode is going to end up being there's going to be challenges. So there'll be certain parameters that you would have to defeat, and there will be unlocks when you defeat when you beat the level and with a certain parameters. Like, for example, like it would be like a certain enemy type and shotguns only, or explosives and, you know, a different set of enemy types on a certain level with a certain maze density. All these things would be setting challenges. If you are interested in maybe creating your own challenges for other people to play, I've been considering how I would implement multiplayer for this game if it was ever to be a thing. At this moment, I need to get single player out of the way, and multiplayer is not even a thought right now. However, if the game proves to be very popular and multiplayer is something that people want, it will be something that I will highly consider. But at this moment, multiplayer is just sort of a back thought. I just need to get the main game completed and move on from there. So I have one enemy left. I'm just deploying, waiting for it to do the you know, the retreating behavior, and there we go. Defeated this level. Let's check out the third level that is currently in arena mode. Okay, so out of all the levels, I believe this one is the most challenging because it is small and the enemies routing or routes can vary, so they can come from any direction. Some of the other levels, their pathing is a bit more predictable, and also finally the spawn point for the minions is kind of within those doors in a corner, so it's harder to reach without getting hit. So sometimes when you try to rush the enemy spawn, it's difficult to get there, and I'll try my best. So just firing some rockets helps, and there is an explosive parameter when it comes to this deployment of the shield. So once that shield explodes, it will destroy just a little area around, and will also take out the enemy spawn. That's something I added recently. I felt like the shield exploding and destroying the enemies was actually kind of a cool feature, but it's not like the mine. The mine has a bigger explosive radius and will only detonate once an enemy touches it, and it does not mess with the enemy pathing. So that's the ways. I always want like items to have pros and cons. I'm very aware of I don't want to make anything too overpowered. I've been highly considering making the shotgun 2 shots. I will have to see the pros and cons with that, but it's definitely on my list of things to do. I might implement it. We'll see. I might test it out and see how it works. Again, I don't want to make it too overpowered, but it might be something that will benefit the game. So I'm always considering how overpowered something is, but I determined that the shield exploding would be a good thing to have. So now I'm just literally deploying everything I see just to mess with the honestly, this level is like really hard, so I'm just like deploying everything randomly and hopefully gonna get some enemies to touch it. Unfortunately, the axe is not much use in this level. I don't even know if I have it active. Do I? I might not have it active. Sometimes I turn it off, sometimes I turn it on. Again, it would be interesting to have a challenge where you have to defeat some enemies, a bunch of enemies with only the axe. Of course, the challenges are going to have various difficulty levels, and I think I'm going to maybe categorize it as a difficulty level where they'll be easy, you know, hard, and then impossible. Maybe ones that will be impossible unless you like cheese it or something. Something I've been considering as well. So this is an interesting thing. So I completely locked myself into a corner, and the pathing, all the enemies stop. And there's a reason why I do this, is because if the enemy pathing is not going towards me because they can't get to me because I set up a bunch of shields, there's going to be more items that are falling. And the more items that are falling, the more items I can pick up and deploy. So that is the technique around there. It looks silly, but there is an actual reason for it. I think at this point it's getting a little easier because there are less enemies. Of course, the potato mans are always the ones that are left because they have a shield and they run away, so they have more lives too. And oh yeah, the Shelly Evolution 3 also has more lives as well, so she's usually around end game. So I kind of think of this arena mode like chess. You have your opening, you have your middle game, you have your end game. So right now we're in the end game phase. But the middle game would be, you know, trying to rush the spawn and getting a good like setup. Middle game is like, you know, just trying to survive, deploying a bunch of stuff, and then the end game is just doing cleanup work. The end game is definitely a lot more mellow and calm, but you can still get like destroyed at any point if you're not paying attention. And boom, there we go, defeated this level. And this took a lot of tries. Again, if you want to watch the full video, it's going to be in the description down below in a playlist. I would highly suggest watching the full videos because this makes it look kind of easy, but I assure you it's not. So yeah, thank you very much for watching another devlog. If you're interested in Absolute Insanity, I'll leave a link to the game in the description. You can actually play the demo for this right now. All that you saw here, you can play right now. So go check it out. And thank you for everyone who's supporting the game. I've gotten a lot of great support, a lot of great feedback, and I will see you in the next video. Probably going to be another...